Hello everybody and welcome to Glory Days Grill here in Frederick, Maryland, as it's time for our Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show. Today with head coach of Mount Basketball, Jamion Christian, and Mount St. Mary's guard in Greg Alexander. Our show today is presented by Marlow Sports, the premier sporting goods dealer in the Mid-Atlantic region since 1964. So stay tuned as we break down the first month of Mount St. Mary's basketball. As we are here, this show as well is presented by Marlow Sports, which is the premier sporting goods dealer in the Mid-Atlantic since 1964. So with that being said, Jamion, the nature of being in the Northeast Conference is the nature of being in what is considered a one-bid league. And
I've been on championship programs at Bucknell, at VCU, and here at the Mount. And so those coaches and those teams, those programs always challenge themselves against the very best. They always are able to get their teams not to fear anyone that they're going to play. And when you do that early in the year, you really get a chance to realize who you are. And that character, that championship character that's so important, you just don't find it until you hit adversity.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have character until you need character. And, great for us this season. We've already learned so much about our team. And I think at the end of the day, we just want to put together a great product for the remainder of the season with guys that really believe in one another.
I think there's many reasons why it is an advantage for you as a program. One of the things that you're always doing as a coach that many don't know is, of course, you're always recruiting. And your players, they want to play in places like Michigan, West Virginia, Iowa State, Minnesota, and coming to the Mount has afforded them that opportunity.
Well, it's huge for us, and recruiting is everything. We've played. At the end of this year, we've played 55 television games, and numerous other games on different venues. We really believe in this process in recruiting, recruiting younger guys, giving them opportunity to grow into their bodies, really buying to strength and conditioning, understanding our system more and more. And so I think every year we're going to play better in these games as we continue to get better and as guys continue to get more experienced. I think one of the things that's very interesting is just being able to rebound in those games is always very difficult. That leans heavily on your ability to your strength and conditioning, your weightlifting. We competed better on the glass. We made more outside shots. Our defensive numbers were very good. At the time, after we finished that long stretch, we were still number one in the league in defense, which is very impressive considering the schedule we played. So it's just very important to, there are no moral victories, but you can gain some momentum and some confidence through playing good opponents and understanding where you are. When I'm looking at the schedule right now, I think every team we've played is probably going to win 20 games. Yeah. And there's going to be teams that are going to play a lot of conference championship games, and teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament. So I like the company that we're keeping with them. I want to find a way to win some of these games, obviously, but I can look back on it and say what we've been able to learn has been pretty impressive.
It's got to be a Mount St. Mary's first that it's looking like. We still have Lehigh coming up Saturday. You then will have, of course, Bucknell about a week later. It's looking like the first 12 games of the year are going to be against teams that all have winning records in the non-conference slate, and that's got to probably be a first ever for the Mount.
Yeah, you schedule these games a couple years in advance, and so sometimes you run into this, and we're still a very good team, and like Lehigh is going to have a chance to win the Patriot League. They're going to be right there. They beat Mississippi State early in the year, and they were really playing well, and they're a really talented team, and so when you're looking at that, you're just saying, man, what a great schedule it is. You're able to look at the games marginally and say, we're playing pretty good basketball, we're making some mistakes, but we're going to be able to learn from those, and we've got a lot of young guys. You're looking at 4 guys in our top 8 are freshmen. I shouldn't say freshmen. Didn't play basketball last year.
Correct.
So they either sat out like Greg Alexander, or they're injured like Maldo Sala, or they are true freshmen. And it's going to take them some time. And the only way they're going to get time is by being in the fire and learning and making those mistakes, getting back in and watching the film. But I love our talent level. I love our enthusiasm to play with one another. And I think that's really important to maintain, that you don't win championships and you don't win games without enthusiasm. And a team that can maintain their enthusiasm through tough times, those are the kind of teams, the kind of people you want to be around.
Let's talk a little bit about you guys and tactics on the court. When you play teams like an Arkansas or a Michigan, really Arkansas, West Virginia, even a UMBC that plays so fast, it's tough to trap those kinds of teams. I know against a lot of the high Division I teams, you tried to stay away from the offensive glass, make sure you get back defensively. Do you expect to be a more aggressive defensive team as the season continues?
Yeah, well, you're looking game by game, and when you look at Arkansas, they were the third best transition offensive team at the time we played them. When you look at Michigan spreads you out in a different way with their ability to shoot the basketball, and they're so big that they really got out and attack you. Minnesota's a top 20, I think, transition offensive team. Texas Arlington's a top 20 offensive transition team. So the team we've played have been great in transition, and we've never been a great rebounding team, especially in the offensive glass. Trying to get better in that area as we go. But I think what you're trying to do each game is just give your team the best opportunity with a chance to win. Sometimes it's going to be crashing the glass. Sometimes it's going to be getting back. What we've always done is we've gotten in towards league play. We've always gone to the glass more against like opponents, and we'll start that transition here as we move through exams.
It seems to me like he's just got a lot more of a presence down low, especially defensively. As we speak, Mount Salah's got 10 blocks in the last 2 games. And there really hasn't been a Mount big man that's done that in quite some time. And I think that's really going to start to show here once we get towards conference play, is that ability down low.
Yeah, I think he has 16 blocks and 10 blocks and 25 rebounds in the last 2 games. Yeah. He's a guy we've been speaking about him for over a year now, about what a talented player he is and how much he had been improving. And I'm not sure everybody was believing it until they're starting to get a chance to see it. And again, Maldo's even a very young player. Didn't play a year ago, hasn't played a lot of basketball in his lifetime, but is an excellent athlete and an extremely hard worker. And I wish people could see what he did this summer. Every day challenging us for more film on different guys. I mean, he probably watched every post player in the NBA and trying to get better and trying to improve. And so we knew that once he got some game experience, he was going to really be terrific in terms of just being able to help us on the defensive end. And, I think the thing that he was last year when we got injured, he was our best rebounder, even in our inter-squad scrimmages. And so we knew what we were getting with Maldo. I think as he continues to gain some experience, I think he's only going to get better. He's a very good free throw shooter. He's 2 of 6 last night. But he's going to help us at the free throw line. He's going to help us as an offensive presence down low. He's really skilled, but it's just going to take some time for him to get comfortable. Good thing he plays for a head coach who's really patient, really believes in him a lot and loves him, and it's going to keep in there for him to get better. But I know he's going to give us everything he's got on the defensive end. His competitive nature and competitive streak is second to none on our team.
This is an interesting time of the year because you're growing, of course. November, there's so many games. December, you're about to head into finals week. There's also about a week off around Christmas break before you go into conference play. And you can almost argue that, especially this time of year, practices are as important or even more important than the games.
Well, what you're able to do in practice is you're really able to identify the things you're not doing well in games and just continue to sharpen your skills in the other areas. And, it's very interesting. I mean, I think people have different strategies. Because we played such a tough November, I wanted to make sure we have great legs here. And so, we've almost been regulated to almost like a walkthrough day, 1 or 2 each week, just to make sure we can maintain legs because of the schedule. But I think our guys have done a great job in game preparation. Up until last night, we'd done such a great job with the scouting report, almost for a full 40 minutes. And last night for about 3 or 4 minutes, we kind of lost our way with it. But for the most part, our guys and their ability to lock in on the scouting report and lock in on our opponents and what they do best has been pretty special. And, for me, it's just watching us continue to grow, continue to buy in this process of learning and growing and learning and improving. Never saying you lost a game, but saying you're learning from that game. And that's what we've been able to maintain and do. And I think that's why, I feel like our team is just so competitive and right where we need to be at right now, no matter what our record may be.
Well, folks, later in our show, we're going to talk with Coach Christian about what's upcoming here for Mount St. Mary's, as conference play is not right around the corner, but it's only a few weeks away. But when we return in just a minute's time, a conversation with the Mount St. Mary's guard, Greg Alexander, here in his first year now playing at the Mount in his junior campaign. That's coming up next as we are live here from Glory Days Grill, and this is the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show presented by Marlow Sports.
Be
tough,
bold,
engaged,
driven,
smart.
yourself.
Be your future.
Hold.
Change the world.
Mount St. Mary's University.
And we welcome you back here to the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show with Jamion and Christian. My name is Adam Pohl, and we're here at Glory Days Grill, and this show is presented by Marlow Sports, the premier sporting goods dealer in the Mid-Atlantic since 1964. And we've got Greg Alexander with us now. Greg, thank you for taking the time to come down here to Glory Days here tonight. And Greg, I know that it's been quite a journey for you to get on the floor and have this kind of role with the team now in your first year with Mount St. Mary's.
It's certainly been a journey. Kind of felt like I was thrown into the fire like immediately, just literally from bottom to the ceiling, like right away. But it's a really good feeling though, and I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity I have.
Greg was at East Carolina University for 2 years. Then, of course, you had a transfer season, so you've been at the Mount, but not able to play. And it really struck me. I thought it was so great to see you, especially in that first game at West Virginia. You'd worked so hard in your career, now really your fourth collegiate season. First time to have, as we just spoke to, a role like this, and you had a big day.
Yeah, it felt crazy. It felt really crazy. Just my energy was through the roof. I couldn't make free throws. I'm shooting them too hard off the back of the rim. But just for the first time, really, well, it feels like the first time being on the floor, to be on that type of stage it's a great experience.
I know you've had a really strong season shooting the basketball from three, and you're probably the Mount player that uses their legs more than any NBC early in the game with a big offensive rebound and put-back bucket, so you can start doing a little bit more in that regard as well.
Yes, it's kind of an adjustment because this is actually the first team I've been on where I'm one of the stronger players. Yeah. So kind of learning my strength a little bit. So slowly but surely, I'll definitely be one of the more physical guys, and certainly have a presence in the game.
We're here with Greg Alexander here on the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show. And Greg, there's something about being on the road that really brings teams together. And you had an incredible road trip over the first few weeks of the season. How much did that gel you guys as a unit?
We learned a lot because, like, of course, we didn't really win games, but just the experience and being on all those stages, like it did a lot for our team, and being forced to spend all that time together for 3 weeks straight on the road, traveling, hotels, like it really brought us together a lot. It caused guys who might not necessarily talk all the time to be together and like get to know each other more.
In the same regard, Knott Arena is really a unique place to play. You've been around so many gyms and arenas, whether in your time at Mount St. Mary's or East Carolina in college basketball, and I think Knott Arena just has a different type of electricity to it than many do, doesn't it?
It really does. I have been waiting to actually play a game at home. We went to so many different places, which is actually in some great environments, but I haven't really seen too many things like Mount Mayhem.
Greg, now as we continue, what are some of your goals here for this month of December? Because obviously we're starting to get very close to conference play, and especially looking at the early part of the conference schedule, it's going to be, they're going to have some extremely important games almost immediately.
Yeah, I'm just looking to grow, and not just individually, but collectively. Mm-hmm. That'll be really big for our team moving forward because we haven't had a lot of success to start the season, but it'll be great for our guys to come together because it can do a number on the mind when you start the season with a not so great record. So the main thing for this month is just growth.
Coach Christian, talking about Greg, I know that for you this was a huge get for your program. Greg was somebody that you guys had targeted out of high school, and it's just so great to have him now as a part of Mount basketball.
Yeah, he was a guy that we knew about him before anyone else knew about him, and we recruited him really hard, and it was a sad day when he made that decision to go to East Carolina. But we were pretty excited when we were one of the first calls he made when he was looking to find a new home. And he was really honest with me when we talked on the phone that and this is a place he really wanted to come and play, and he wanted to come here and play for me, and I was excited about that. I mean, I'm always trying to just build great relationships through recruiting. I've got great relationships with a lot of guys who are going to be NBA lottery picks next year, and guys who aren't going to be, and I just love having great relationships with kids that have a dream, and if I can help aid them in any way to help them achieve their dream, whether it's here at the Mount or somewhere else, I'm just always trying to be there for them. And so when you're able to get a phone call from someone who's looking to kind of get a jump start or restart, it always makes you feel good because it means you did something right through the course of the recruiting process.
And speak to Greg's ambition and how he's just stuck with it, because it can be very hard, 2 years at ECU, and then all of a sudden now you have to have this entire year off as a transfer, and even though it's his junior year, it's really his 4th year as a collegiate student, and now that first time to play a big role like he is here this season at the Mount.
Yeah, we've had a good round. We've had a good round with transfers. Sam Prescott, Rashard Wack, Andy Smithers, all those guys really played well for us. Chris Martin had some very good games for us as well. And, I think the largest thing, we talked to Greg about this when we were trying to get him to come here from East Carolina, we have experience with transfers in terms of getting them a role when they come in and allowing them to settle into it. That year that they're sitting out, I think it's so important to help them get their confidence back and to just let them know you believe in them. It can be a very tough deal when you're in a program for a couple of years and you don't get an opportunity to showcase what you can do, and you're sitting there on the bench for a while. And I always wanted to, I want him to get back to being himself. I want him to get back to drawing every day and just realizing that, the person he is good enough, and he's going to help our program in a big way. And that was one of the biggest things I just tried to really preach to him, is just, you're good enough. The things that you do, we believe in you. We're going to try to put a system together that's going to allow you to do those things. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too crazy, but it's just when you believe in someone, you love them, you appreciate who they are, and you create an environment where they can have success, they're going to have success.
Well, folks, that's Greg Alexander, head coach Jamion Christian. We're going to take one more break, and when we return here to Glory Days Grill on the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show presented by Marlow Sports, we'll have a look forward towards what's upcoming for the Mount here for the rest of December. That's coming up next, right after this.
Now it's official, they're champions of the Northeast Conference.
Shot on goal, back of the net, and he's got it!
And we welcome you back for one final segment here on our Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show. Jamion Christian, let's try that again. And we welcome you back for one final segment here on the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show. Jamion Christian with me. My name is Adam Pohl. We are here at Glory Days Grill. You got to check out the wings. Coach Christian, you got to bring home some wins here for our Mount fans. You score 65 or more and they win, they get some free wings here at Glory Days in Frederick.
Yeah, I think I think over the years we've done a great job of making sure that we got 65 and got some wins in here. I think about 80% of our wins are coming home, so we're playing pretty well there, and we generally score more than 65 points.
You almost put them out of business last year.
Well, that's sort of the plan, to make sure that our fans come and support us, and then we give them something on the back end.
I love it. And of course, this broadcast is presented by Marlow Sports, the premier sporting goods dealer here in the Mid-Atlantic region since 1964. So let's take a look forward now, as this month of December, obviously you're not going to rack up 8,000 miles of travel. You're able to play teams that are in similar conferences to you. You had Loyola earlier. You have 2 more games in the Patriot League in Lehigh, Bucknell. You'll play a MEAC team in Coppin State. But really, these next few weeks are so important to get ready, because here before the end of the month, conference play will begin.
I think it's just so important. You want to sharpen your axe before you go out, and we're going to have an opportunity to do that with very good teams here that all play very differently. When you look at Lehigh, they have a dominating post player. They throw the ball inside often. When you look at Bucknell, they just really run great motion, and they're such a team-driven team in the way they share the basketball. Look at Coppin State, who's played very well early in here in the year with scoring from a lot of different guys. And so it's just been a tremendous schedule to challenge our team and challenge our guys.
To kind of peek even further forward, it seems to me, and you might not, I know you're not a big look way forward on the schedule guy, but I'm the broadcaster, so I do. So in Northeast Conference play, a lot of the teams that are favored to be near the top of the conference, you're going to have to play in the early going. Going up to LIU is always a tough trip, and you'll do that to start conference play. Wagner has been outstanding in the non-conference. They're going to be your first home game. Your first trip following that, you're going to face a Bryant team that's had a lot of success. So I know that it's so imperative for you guys to be able to take that step up a notch as far as ramping it up with your team to be ready for what is going to be a very tough early part of your conference schedule.
Yeah, and I haven't had a chance to really watch much of the teams in our league. I don't even know what their records are, to be honest with you, because it's 2 or 3 weeks away. A lot of things can change, a lot of things can happen in the course of that time. When we get into Northeast Conference play, because our teams have such great familiarity, you look at the coaches in this league, that it hasn't been much coach change over the last few years. So we all know each other so well. You can play in the non-conference, and it can be kind of misleading because you're going to play an opponent that you may only see once or twice, and they may have a wrinkle that you haven't seen before. But when we get into conference play, we all know each other really well. We all know our personalities. We spend so much time together. We know all our trick plays and all the underneath out of bounds plays we like to do, and which are our favorites. So it really gets back down to just being the more solid team, a team that has the most character, really believes in itself the most, a team that's not afraid to go for the victory instead of playing not to lose. And those are the things we're trying to work on when we talk about sharpening our axe. Those are the things we're trying to work on right now, and just trying out to be comfortable with one another in really tough situations.
There's so many things I love about Northeast Conference basketball, and I love how the playoffs are set up, that it's not just 3 days in a row at a neutral site. I love the aspect of getting the home court advantage and having time in between the games. Well, one of the other aspects that wasn't the case when you came into this league, now being your 5th season, is the fact that you have a true home and home schedule. You play everybody twice, and I think that's just a great aspect of this league.
Well, it's been great. I remember the first year that we had to go to LIU and we had to go to Robert Morris. We finished. I want to say we finished 5th. We'd only played 2 of the top 4 teams, 2 times between them, and I just felt like that was a really unfair schedule, because who's to say that we weren't better than one of those teams, or at least had the opportunity to do that. But since switching, it's where you play everybody home and home. We've really gotten a true champion. We've been able to get teams that are not only playing well in the month of March, but that have played well through the course of the year. When you look at teams playing well at home and playing well on the road, that gives you the best team that has the chance to win a game in the NCAA tournament. And so it's always been a great experience for us. We've been on the road a pretty good bit, but we've been able to put together the best road record and most road wins in the conference over a time period, which is pretty special. Again, that speaks to the character of our team. But we'd love to be able to get a couple home games here to really protect home court, because our home fans are excellent. They deserve to be at a championship game and host a championship game and not arena. And so we've got some work ahead of us to do that, but that's always our goal.
That's head coach Jamion Christian. Jamion, thank you so much for being with us today. Great to chat once again.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show with Jamion Christian. Big thank you to Greg Alexander and also our executive producer Liz Moyer. My name is Adam Pohl. Come on out. Join us next time, as we're going to do this a few more times over the course of this season here at Glory Days Grill in Frederick. And this has been presented as well by Marlow Sports. Well, thank you once again for joining us for today's Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show, presented by Marlow Sports, the premier sporting goods dealer in the Mid-Atlantic since 1964. We had a great time today here at Glory Days Grill in Frederick. A big thank you to head coach Jamion Christian and Mount St. Mary's guard Greg Alexander. Now stay tuned to Mount Athletics and mountathletics.com to find out when our next coaches show will be, as we'll have coaches shows monthly throughout the season, and we'd love to have you here at a taping at Glory Days Grill down the line. Thank you once again for tuning in, as this has been Adam Pohl for the Mount St. Mary's Coaches Show.